Hey everybody, Ed Homewood, Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today should be a fun and maybe a little bit controversial video. You'll see what's going on here. So sit back, relax, and you know what? We're going to talk about DDC Re-Clockers. Well, DDCs and Re-Clockers, a bit of a controversial subject for sure. Today we're going to talk about the LAIV mDDC. It is their brand new DDC Re-Clocker. It costs $850. It is extraordinarily well built. We'll talk about that in a second. It is based around an Intel Altera Cyclone FPGA chip. Now, FPGA stands for Field Programmable Gate Array. It is basically a logic block device that a software engineer can program to do certain functions and carry out certain things. Not like a microprocessor. It's a little bit different, but think of it that way, and maybe that's the easiest way to think of it. The unit also uses super high precision, low noise femto clocks, obviously for retiming. It uses a proprietary and in-house designed FiiO buffer, which is first in, first out, and obviously proprietary reclocking technology. Now, let me show you the back. It's really very simple. On the back side, we've got USB-C in, USB-B in, we've got our 5-volt power, we've got I2S ASEBU, we've got coax in, I2S, and we've got a 10 megahertz clock connection as well. So again, only I2S out on this unit, which is why it's sitting here next to all of these devices. These all have I2S in. So I've got the topping Centaurus R2R, uses that hollow audio cyan R2R ladder configuration. I've got the topping D93 discrete, which uses their new 1-bit technology. Of course, I've got the LAIV Harmony, which is a true resistor-to-resistor ladder DAC. And then I've got the beautiful Alpha Audio MX5, which is a streamer DAC, and it uses some Cirrus Logic chips in it, and it sounds really wonderful. And I've used all of these devices with the mDDC. So, frequency response on this is from 15 hertz to 80,000. Signal noise ratio, get this one. And I'm going to have to read it, 0.00005% THD. 145 dB signal noise ratio, really, really beautiful. So on the USB input, it supports a PCM 768, 32-bit 768 and up to DSD 512. On the I2S in, again, 32-bit 768 up to DSD 512. On the AES EBU PCM input, it'll do 24192, and it will do DSD up to DSD 64, but via a DOP only. Same with coax, exactly the same specifications. So really, really interesting unit. So let me talk about how it's built. So the unit is amazingly well built to a very high standard. It is CNC machined out of a solid block of aerospace grade aluminum. It's really beautiful. Now, LAIV uses some proprietary technology, what they call their FiiO buffer. It uses the femto clocks, and what it does is it synchronizes and realigns digital signals through what they refer to as a robust FiiO filter, first in, first out. So that combination eliminates timing irregularities and jitter from upstream devices. And we're going to talk about all of this in a second, delivering a very stable, very clean output with enhanced soundstage clarity. And a lot of that is where you're going to hear this. Enhanced dynamics and enhanced resolution, and again, it really does work. So let's talk about this Altera FPGA. The high precision field programmable gate array, the Altera FPGA, manages complex digital signal routing and processing with very ultra low latency, and that's a big deal. Supporting formats, as I mentioned, 32-bit up to 768 and up to DSD 512. It ensures bit perfect handling. Now you combine this with maybe a streamer that's bit perfect like Artivana or Rune, or maybe there's a new one out, I'm not familiar with it, HD something. You're going to get an amazing performance, and that's how I use it, and I'll talk about that in a second. There's also a complex programmable logic device called a CPLD that's dedicated to optimizing signal timing and minimizing jitter and phase noise for precise, efficient operations. Now, the other nice thing about the way this is designed, all of the I2S input and output, and the USB-C and USB-B inputs are all galvanically isolated. So again, no chance of getting noise. It preserves the purity of the signal really, really well. So it kind of guarantees a clean, noise-free signal path from the source through to your DAC. And it makes a big difference, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So some examples of other DDC re-clockers, and DDC re-clockers are nothing new. They're used in pro audio all the time. They're used in studios, things like that. So on the kind of the high end, you've got the Mutech MU3, the smart clock USB. It's $1,100 to $1,500 depending on who you're buying it from. The Denafrips Gaia, which is very popular, it's $1,700, and you have the Inuus Phoenix USB re-clocker at $3,500. And I don't remember the brand, but I think I saw at the Capital Audio Fest some re-clockers in excess of $20,000. So it's a serious thing. Now, mid-tier re-clockers, there are some good ones out there. The Gustard U18, and that's about $600. I think this is probably the best buy in that mid-tier. The LAIV mDDC at $850, and of course you get the Singer SU6 at around $700. Now, budget re-clockers, there are some out there. There's the Gustard U2 at about $250. You've got the Singer F1 at $180, and one of my all-time favorites is the little SMSL P0100 Pro at about $70. And we'll talk about all these different things. Now, what I want to do is talk about how I tested this unit and some of the music I used. So how did I test the LAIV Harmony mDDC re-clocker unit? Well, I threw everything I had at it. I had it in a couple of different systems. Obviously, I've used all these devices connected to the DDC. Most of the time I had the LAIV Harmony connected to this because I've had the two together longer, and then the Alpha Audio MX5. And I've had these in the rack with the Evo 150. I've also used them with the Amped Audio stack. I also used them with the Black Ice F22. And the topping discrete, D93 discrete, and the Centaurus have just arrived recently, and I've done more listening to the Centaurus through this than I actually have the D90 discrete. But I kind of come up with some opinions about it. So again, all of my normal gear, all of my reference stuff, lots and lots of music. I fed the DDC from Artivana on my PC via USB. But interestingly, I also have a Shanling ET3 CD transport, SACD CD transport. And the neat thing about that is it can output on SPDIF, ASEBU, Toslink, and coax, as well as USB and I2S. So I could go I2S from the CD transport into this out to the DACs as well. And I did that on a number of occasions with really, really good success. So rather than going into a deep dive about albums and the history of them and all that, because I've had a few people complain that I spend too much time talking about that, but I am a music first guy. I'm not, this gear is fun, but it's only there so I can enjoy some beautiful music, honestly. So I created a playlist of 10 songs. There'll be a link to it in the video description. It's on Tidal, and it's called the LAIV mDDC Test Track Playlist, whatever. So there's 10 songs, and I'm going to highlight 3 of those songs for you right now. Well, the first song is off of an album that is rapidly becoming one of my favorites. It's David Gilmour's latest album called Luck and Strange, and it's the song called Luck and Strange Barn Jam. Now, it is an extra track only on digital. It's not available on the CD or vinyl. I don't know if it's available on the CD. I have the vinyl version of it, and it's not there, but on streaming you can find it. Now, this song is really notable because what had happened was they had this jam back in 2007 with Richard Wright, who was the keyboardist for Pink Floyd, and unfortunately he passed away, I think in 2009. And so they had this tape of all these people in David Gilmour's studio barn jamming away on this song, Luck and Strange. And David remembered that, and he went back to the original tapes, and then he put his voice in, his daughter Romany's voice in, and added some additional instrumentation. So you actually have the late Richard Wright's keyboards playing in this song that just was released. Now, it's a 14-minute instrumental jam, and it is phenomenal. I also linked to the official YouTube video, but that is the vocal version of it as well. It is just beautiful. It is lush. It's just, you can tell it's a bunch of guys just sitting around having a ball, jamming, maybe enjoying an adult beverage or two, whatever. But it's loose and it's just amazing. And it is by far and away the best song off the album, I think. Well, yeah, one of the best, one of the 3 best, but amazing. So again, David Gilmour's Luck and Strange Barn Jam off the Luck and Strange album. So let's talk about the next one. So the next track I'm going to highlight is one of my real favorites. It's just good, straight-ahead jazz. It's from David Chesky. The song's called Hell's Kitchen, and it's off his 2004 album, The Body Acoustic. Now, this album really showcases Chesky's innovative blend of jazz, Latin rhythms, world music influences. It is a really, really unique auditory experience, without question. It's extraordinarily well recorded. As you know, David Chesky owns the Chesky recording label, and his recordings, not only of his own stuff, but other artist stuff, are absolutely legendary. Now, this track, Hell's Kitchen, stands out for its dynamic interplay among the ensemble, which features noted musicians such as trumpeter Randy Brecker, great guy, bass clarinetist Bob Mintzner, very, very famous, congo virtuoso Giovanni Hidalgo, and bassist Andy Gonzalez. Really good, tight group. They're all in the pocket really well on this one. So kind of the piece, I guess, the idea of it is it kind of captures, because Hell's Kitchen is an area in New York City, famous area in New York City, and it's kind of, you know, trying to express or describe that kind of rich cultural tapestry in Hell's Kitchen through kind of rhythmic complexity and some amazing improvisations on this song. This is a really good album too, but Hell's Kitchen's a real standout. I think you'll enjoy that track a lot. So let's see what the next one is. So for the next track, I went back into my prog rock history, and it is from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It is the song Lucky Man off their 1970 self-titled album, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now, the interesting thing about this track, Lucky Man, is it was written by Greg Lake, who was an amazing guitarist and singer, but it was written when he was 12 years old, and obviously he wasn't 12 when he performed it with the LP. The song is really interesting. It starts out very acoustic with his vocals and just his acoustic guitar, but the interesting thing is it's so well recorded and so well mic'd, you get a really good sense of just his mouth movements and just the naturalness of a voice coming out of a mouth and whatever other resonances are there. It is beautifully recorded. This is, for 1970, this is one of the most remarkable recordings. Now, I'm linking to the original 1970 mix. There are a bunch of remixes and all the other stuff, which I don't really care for most of the time, because they compress it and they add bass and they rejigger it around, and I just don't like it. This is the original version, and it's amazing. So the song itself is kind of a folk-influenced melody, but it's kind of that medieval English kind of, traveling musician sort of sound to it a little bit, that melody. And the lyrics tell a story of a nobleman who has everything. I mean, he's at the top of the world, but then loses it all and meets his tragic end in a battle, obviously like a medieval, Knights of the Round Table battle. The interesting thing is the track has this very climatic synthesizer solo performed by Keith Emerson, and it was groundbreaking at the time. It showcased the Moog synthesizer's expressive capabilities. Now, this is the first popular song to feature a Moog synthesizer solo. And the neat thing is Emerson improvised the entire solo in one take, making it one of the earliest rock songs, obviously, to feature the Moog synthesizer. So the interesting thing is the contrast in this song kind of between that classic British folk sort of, that era, that medieval, musicians kind of thing, and progressive rock. And the acoustic beginning that gradually builds into this really interesting Moog synthesizer electrifying finale. Just a remarkable track. Anyway, so Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the track Lucky Man. And there's some other great tracks on there. Like I said, I think there are 10 tracks on there. There are a bunch on there I think you'll enjoy. So let's talk about what this thing did and how it sounded with all these different pieces of gear. All right, well, I know I'm setting myself up for, the keyboard warriors. When I plugged this into the LAIV Harmony, now, let me recap a little bit. The LAIV Harmony DAC is the best DAC I've ever heard, probably ever. It's certainly the best DAC I've ever had in here. It is absolutely the best DAC I've had while I've been doing YouTube. But I think even looking back over the many, many, many years, and remember I had my first standalone DAC in 1988. This thing is absolutely remarkable, just amazing, all by itself, absolutely fabulous. Now, add the mDDC, and it takes that thing to another level. Now, this is $2,700. This is $850. So where are we at? $3,550 or something like that. I would put this up against any DAC clock or any DAC clock combination costing more than $5,000. It is absolutely remarkable. It is an end game setup if you wanted it to be. It could be my end game setup. Absolutely stellar performance. It moved the LAIV Harmony. I didn't think you could get the Harmony any better, the DAC any better than it sounded, and it did. It just opened up. The soundstage got huge and enormous and so well focused. And most RDR ladder DACs, and I'll talk about it with this one when I do the review of it, most RDR ladder DACs I've added in here, the Pontus, the Hifi EF400, and, not the little FiiO K11 RDR. That's a little different animal, but the Pontus, the Ever Solo, what else did I have in here that was an RDR? Anyway, I don't remember. It's in my video history anyway. All R2R DACs, to my ear, lacked a little bit in bass and were a little cool and a little recessed in the mid-range. They did okay through the mid-bass and everything. And remember, most vocals fall between 300 hertz and maybe 1,000 hertz on the top end, and they did pretty well there. But once you got out of that range a little bit, up in the woodwinds and brass, they started to get really, really thin. Now, the LAIV Harmony never suffered from that. It always had good bass response. It always had very good imaging, but I think every R2R DAC suffers a bit in image depth. And the LAIV Harmony went deeper than most, went deeper than all the ones I've tested, but not as deep as the deepest I've heard and as the deepest I have of DACs that I have here right now. With this on it, the soundstage just seemed to go back for a mile. I mean, it increased everything. It got bigger, it got larger, it got wider, more fleshed out, more full, better focus on the center image, which was already amazingly good, but just the inner detail came out huge. Now, let's talk about, so obviously a great match, meant to be. Let's talk about the mDDC with the Alpha Audio MX streamer. Now, this is a standard Delta Sigma DAC using Cirrus Logic chips, and I don't remember the model, I'll put it down here. This is an exceptionally good streamer DAC kind of device, and yes, I know it looks like an Ever Solo, but Ever Solo and Alpha Audio had the same designer, same design company design their DAC, so it does share some visual similarities, but the internals are totally different, and I'll talk about that more when I do the review. This is about $1,000. I think it's going to be about $1,000 price point DAC. With this combination, I would say that this would compete against DACs costing easily $2,000 without any problem. Just DACs. Add in the fact that it's a killer streamer. Very compelling. And again, similar kind of thing. It already had very good soundstage depth. It already had decent width. It already did, as most Delta Sigma DACs do, did really good with the bass. This just enhanced everything. It was like, the best way I can put it is like if you have ever looked out a slightly dirty window and then you clean it, you can see everything through the window, but you clean the window and all the details get sharper. That's really kind of what this does. And again, it is what it does. It pre-cleans and preconditions the digital signal before the DAC gets it. Now, let's talk about the topping D93 discrete. It was a big difference. I'll be honest with you, I've only listened to the two of these together for maybe 2 hours at the most. So I'm not going to make any huge judgment because I spent about an hour listening to this without the DDC on it and then unplugged the DDC in. So I can't draw any firm conclusions, although I do feel in my gut there was a big improvement. Now, and I'm going to wind up giving away the review on this one. The topping Centaurus, just by itself, oh my goodness. It is without question the best $1,000 DAC on the market, period, end of story. It is way better than the Hollow Cyan 2, and I'll leave that hang there for those folks. It uses the same R2R DAC board. They worked cooperatively with Hollow to use the same DAC board. Unbelievable, remarkable, remarkable. Without question, the very best topping DAC I've ever heard. Absolutely one of the best DACs for $1,000. Plug this bad boy in, and I'm telling you right now, that combination, again at about $1,800, almost gets to this just by itself, almost gets here, which is amazing. That is, amazing. And again, you add these two together and it goes to a whole nother category for sure. But this DAC on its own, amazing. Add this in, absolutely amazing. Absolutely remarkable. It totally took me by surprise. Completely took me by surprise. So the Centaurus and the LAIV Harmony mDDC Re-Clocker, unbelievable. This DAC just by itself is so good. It is, oh man. I don't need another DAC, but I'm really lusting after it. A review will be out soon, and I'll go into a deeper dive. So I will tell you right now, and I've said this for a while, on a budget DAC, somewhere, $750 on down, you can, and you need maybe to convert I2S, or you have a DAC that you can only connect via a SPDIF, then this will help that DAC non-DSD DAC do DSD. It will decode the DSD for you, and it will clean up the signal, and it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference on all the DACs I've tried it on. This makes a monumental difference, absolutely monumental. And I don't need to buy any more stuff, honestly. I wholeheartely recommend the LAIV mDDC. It is a game changer. It is without question. It elevated all of these to another level, maybe 2 extra levels higher than you would normally expect them to be based on their price point. Just absolutely remarkable. High marks, one of the best products I've heard ever as an add-on. I mean, what it does, how it helps these DACs, it unleashes them. It's like cleaning the window. It just becomes squeaky clean, and all the details there, all of the resolution is there, all of the enjoyment, the rich and vibrancy of the music. It just brings it out so well. I know I'm waxing poetic and lavishing it with lots of praise, but I really believe that this thing is remarkable. Anyway, that's enough of me going on and on and on about it. The LAIV Harmony mDDC Re-Clocker absolutely gets the highest recommendation I can give. Well, hopefully you can give the video a recommendation, and you'd be willing to give me a like and your subscription. About 60% of the folks that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and it would greatly help the channel. And the wonderful subscribers and members and viewers I have right now have obviously got me to the point where I've got manufacturers willing to send me some really cool stuff. And I'm working on some other really cool stuff that I can't tell you about right now, but it'll be fun. I promise you it'll be fun. So again, please like, subscribe. If you wish to support the channel, there is a thank you button at the bottom of the video window if you're watching on a portable device or a computer. There is also a membership link in the pinned comment and in the video description. There will be a link to the title playlist I created for testing this. There will be a link to LAIV Harmony's website. I have no affiliation with them. There are other affiliate links in there. I'm starting to trim those down. I think I have too many. And there are some additional playlist information down there. So please comment. What are your thoughts? I know this is a controversial subject. I know people are going to say, well, doesn't the DAC itself do reclocking? Well, yes and no. This is designed to do nothing but reclocking. A DAC is designed to do a lot of different things. Take a variety of signals in, SPDIF, USB, all of those kinds of things, convert those into a signal it can work with on the board, run it through the DACs, manage the outputs, da-da-da-da-da. So maybe a $10,000 DAC, you don't need a reclocker, but I'm telling you right now, a reclocker benefits all DACs regardless. And I know everybody's going to say a good DAC should already do that. Well, they don't, and that's the way it is. It's like, a good car should get 50 miles a gallon. They don't, but it is the way it is. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on it. I'm done rambling. I'm getting tired of it, and I'm losing my voice, by the way. Anyway, my name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel, and it's now your duty, your obligation to find some beautiful music to listen to. Sit back in your easy chair, put on your good headphones, put on your good hi-fi system, and relax and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time.